Hey everybody, it's Thursday, which means it's time for another Golden Oldie review. This time I have chosen to talk about one of the best science fiction movies of all time. No, not Star Wars. For those who know I'm a huge fan, but Blade Runner. And what kind of brought this up for me was just the other day, me and some coworkers were talking about the movie. One of them had never seen it before, so kind of got me thinking about the movie. Watched it again and realized just how great this movie really is. And for those who don't know much, when this movie first came out, it actually bombed. I mean, it did not do well. It was not very well received by critics. Didn't do as much at the box office, but as everybody knows now, it's considered one of the best movies of all time. And there's reasons for that. When when you watch the movie now, it is pretty easy to see how when it first came out it didn't do very well. It's a very complex movie. It's got so much different things going on and a lot of new ideas and themes that really didn't they weren't around back in the early 80s when this movie came out. You know, the movie delves a lot about humanity, what it means to be human, and all that kind of stuff. And it does it so well. You know, the Rutger Hauer's character is gives one of the best speeches of all time at the end of the movie, and it is actually improvised. He improvised that speech, the Tears in the Rain speech, if you're curious what I'm talking about, and it shows exactly what this movie means. You know, it's the famous part at the end of the speech is all of those memories that he has are gone like tears in the rain. And that's a powerful speech and just an amazing moment in movie history. Not even just in this movie in general, but just in history. I mean, you watch it and it is impactful the way he delivers that speech. It's a very short speech that he does. I mean, I don't even think it's like maybe 2 minutes long, but it's amazing. And of course, Harrison Ford is great, like he always is in this movie as Deckard. And you got Sean Young before she went batshit crazy. Uh, Edward James Olmos, love him, and it's one of the greatest movies of all time. Visually, dark, dreary, like a look of the future that it gives, and it's an amazing movie. It really is. It deserves its spot as one of the greatest movies of all time, and you just can't get enough watching this movie. You know, I know there's been numerous cuts throughout the years. You know, they just a couple years back released the 30th anniversary cut. Um, then there were director's cut and ultimate cuts, all kind of releases of this movie throughout the years. But you just can't get enough of watching this movie. I mean, just from start to finish, it keeps you there. It's such an engaging movie, and if by for some stretch you haven't seen this movie, I'll give you a brief rundown of it. You know, it's in the future where machines called replicants, which are basically androids who in every way are identical to humans in the way they look, the way they act, the way they talk, and they are actually banned from Earth and are forced to do menial tasks and labor at other colonies that Earth has. And when these replicants decide to ignore that ban and go to Earth, they are hunted down by people called Blade Runners, which is what Harrison Ford's character is. He's one of the best at what he does. And that's what the plot of the movie is this group of replicants come to Earth, and it's his task to hunt them down and retire them, which is basically a nice way of saying that he kills them. And that's the plot of the movie, is that. But it also, one of the most famous fan theories about this movie is Deckard a replicant? And it's obviously, with the notion of a sequel coming out, that kind of dims that possibility, but you never know. He might be one. And of course, just the journey you go on with this movie is just amazing. It really makes you think. It really does everything that a movie should. And if for whatever reason you haven't seen the movie, I mean, where the hell have you been for the past 30 years? It's a movie everybody needs to see. It should be a required watch for everybody. It's one of those movies, you always see books, lists, all kind of stuff. Oh, the list of movies you should see before you die. And this movie definitely is one of them, by every means. It's just, it's an experience. It's one that everybody should see. It's an experience everybody should have in watching this movie. You just can't get enough of it. It's just, it's a true masterpiece of a movie that, I know I'm repeating myself here, but you just can't get enough of. And then, of course, like I was mentioning earlier, of course, there's the sequel coming out. I think it's supposed to come out next year in 2027, like late 2017. I want to say they moved it to October, if I remember correctly. I know originally it was supposed to be January, which is worrisome because January is always the dumping ground of movies. But, they got Harrison Ford's coming back. Of course, you got some new cast. You have Ryan Gosling's going to be in it. Dave Bautista's going to be in it. Ridley Scott's involved in some form or another. I can't remember at this point what it is, but it's intriguing that they're finally making a sequel after 30 some odd years. Usually, as history shows, when it comes to movies and sequels, when you've waited this long, it's going to be awful. Just look at the last Indiana Jones movie. Which, for that, you could blame on George Lucas or whatever, but that's a whole nother story for another day. But that's the other part of the reason I wanted to talk about this movie is, of course, the sequel coming out next year. And it's just one of those movies you can't get enough of. It's amazing. Of course, I'd give it a 5 out of 5 if I had to rate it, but that should be obvious with the way I've talked about this movie. But just one more thing to mention is what this movie has done for the industry. Back in 82 when this movie came out, there wasn't a whole lot of special effects that you saw. Everything was with models. It was very, very primitive CGI that was there. But this movie had some. It had some amazing special effects for the time, and some of which still hold up to this day. There's one scene early on in the movie with the giant advertisement on the side of a building. And that is seamless. It doesn't look fake. It looks like it's an actual advertisement on the side of a building. And it looks great. Of course, you got with the police cars, then they called them spinners or something like that in this movie, but it's an experience. You need to watch this movie if you haven't. If you have, watch it again. Watch it again and again and again. Just keep watching the movie because it's an experience that everybody needs. So with that, I'll bring this Golden Oldie review to a close. I am hoping tomorrow I'll have up my May movie previews, since we're getting into the summer season with a which is the pinnacle of movie season generally, until you get towards the end of the year when you get to Oscar season. But I'll be starting with May and then going to June, July, and August is where I'll end it. So just stay tuned. I'm hoping to have that video up tomorrow. If not, it'll be up soon. I'm working on it. I got my list of all the movies I'm going to talk about that come out in May. I just got to get the time to sit, do the video. So just stay tuned for that. And with that, I will bring this video to a close, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.